Somewhere out there beneath sun-scorched deserts, hidden in forgotten canyons, or buried under the bones of old ghost towns, there are secrets that were never meant to be found. Gold that vanished without a trace, maps that don't lead anywhere until they do. Stories whispered around campfires, passed down just enough to survive, but never enough to solve. This is Man Cave Archives. I'm your host, Greg Reinhardt, and in this podcast we dig into the legends that refuse to die, lost treasures in the American Southwest. The kind of stories that blur the line between history and myth, outlaws, miners, and explorers, and ordinary folks who stumble into something extraordinary and paid the price for it. Because sometimes the real mystery isn't where the treasure is, it's why it was hidden in the first place. So pour yourself a drink, dim the lights, and settle in because we're opening the vault. And once you step inside, you might not look at the desert the same way again. In this final episode of Season 1, I'm going to tell you about probably the most famous gold treasure story of all. The story of the Superstition Mountain and the Lost Dutchman Gold Mine. In the heart of the Arizona desert, just east of Phoenix, rises a rugged wall of stone known as Superstition Mountains. If you've ever looked at it, its jagged cliffs glow red at sunrise and sink into the shadow at sunset. To some, it's simply a beautiful desert wilderness. To others, it's a place of mystery, tragedy, and secrets that are buried beneath centuries of dust. Because somewhere within those canyons and hidden ravines, many believe there lies one of the greatest lost treasures in American history. The Lost Dutchman's Gold Mine. The story begins before prospectors and treasure hunters arrived. For generations, the Apache People regarded Superstition Mountain as sacred ground. Legends spoke of spirits dwelling within its peaks and warned outsiders not to venture too deeply into its hidden places. Some stories even claimed that the mountain guarded a doorway to the underworld. Then came rumors of gold. In the 19th century, stories spread of rich gold deposits hidden somewhere inside the superstitions. Men from mining camps across the Southwest began hearing tales of nuggets that were so large they would fill their saddlebags. Among those drawn by these stories was a German immigrant named Jacob Waltz. Although history remembers him as the Lost Dutchman, he wasn't really Dutch. The nickname came from a misunderstanding. He was Deutsch, meaning German. And according to the legend, Jacob Waltz knew exactly where the gold was. Now, the stories surrounding Waltz vary. Some claim he discovered the mine with a partner, and others say he learned its location from a family who supposedly mined the mountain years earlier. And then there's another version where it claims that he stumbled upon it entirely by accident. Whatever happened, one thing remains consistent. Jacob Waltz returned from the mountains carrying unusual, rich gold. Gold that seemed to come from nowhere. Over the years, Waltz became increasingly secretive. He would disappear into the wilderness and return with enough gold to support himself. Yet he never revealed the location of the mine. Then in 1891, Jacob Waltz became gravely ill. As the story goes, he spent his final days in Phoenix under the care of a woman named Julia Thomas. And before he died, he shared his secret. Waltz reportedly described landmarks, directions, and clues that pointed toward his hidden mine somewhere inside Superstition Mountain. Then he passed away. Julia Thomas believed she had inherited the key to an unimaginable wealth. She gathered supplies and set out for the mountain, but finding the mine proved impossible. Because the landscape was unforgiving, the canyons twisted in every direction, and rock formations changed appearance depending on the angle of the sun. Every ravine seemed to lead to another dead end. And she always returned empty-handed, yet the legend had only begun. As the years passed, hundreds of men and women ventured into the Superstition, searching for the Lost Dutchman's mine. Some had claimed that they found clues, and some believed that they had seen the entrance, and others simply vanished. The mountain earned a reputation as a place where fortunes and lives disappeared together. One of the most famous figures in the legend was a man named Adolf Ruth. In 1931, the elderly treasure hunter entered the Superstitions carrying maps and notes that he believed would finally reveal the mine's location. He never returned. Months later, searchers discovered his remains. His death only deepened the mystery surrounding the mountain. Newspapers across the country reported the story, and public fascination exploded. Suddenly, the Lost Dutchman's mine became more than a treasure story. It became an obsession. Over the decades, prospectors, adventurers, historians, and dreamers all searched for the mountain. Some reported finding old campsites, and others discovered pieces of mining equipment. A few even claimed they held gold taken from the mine itself. Yet no one has ever produced conclusive evidence proving exactly where the Lost Dutchman's mine is located. Perhaps that's the reason the story endures. The mystery remains unsolved. Superstition Mountain itself is designed to protect its secrets. Towering cliffs cast long shadows across the desert floor. Deep canyons hide narrow passages, and summer temperatures become deadly. Flash floods can suddenly sweep through dry washes. Trust me, it's beautiful, but it is very dangerous, and it is easy to understand why so many believe the mountain still guards something hidden. Because legends have a way of surviving when questions remain unanswered. Like, did Jacob Waltz truly discover an incredibly rich gold deposit? Did the family mine the mountains before him? Did the Apache know of hidden veins of gold long before outsiders arrived? Or did the Lost Dutchman's mine become something larger than treasure itself? Perhaps it became a symbol. The idea that somewhere beyond the next canyon or behind the next ridge, an incredible discovery still waits. Today, thousands of visitors come to Superstition Mountain every year. Most arrive not with picks and shovels, but with cameras and hiking boots. Yet even now, many pause and stare into those rugged peaks, and somewhere in the back of their minds, they wonder, what if it's really there? What if Jacob Waltz carried the secret to one of the richest gold mines in American history? And what if the mountain still refuses to give it up? As we reach the end of Season 1 of Man Cave Archives, it's hard not to look back down the trail we've traveled together. From the deserts of Arizona to the mountains of New Mexico, from forgotten stagecoach routes to lost mines hidden beneath layers of legend. We followed the footprints of dreamers, outlaws, prospectors, and adventurers who all believed that somewhere beyond the next ridge, the next canyon, possibly the next horizon, something extraordinary is waiting to be found. Some search for gold, some search for fortune, and some were searching for something they could never quite put into words. Along the way, we've uncovered stories of lost treasures, vanished fortunes, mysterious maps, and legends that have survived for generations. And some may be true, and some may be a little more than campfire tales carried through time. But that's the beauty of these stories, because the real treasure isn't always buried in the ground. Sometimes it's found in the search itself. It's found in the old newspaper clipping tucked away in an archive, in the faded photograph hanging on a dusty wall, and in the stories pressed from one generation to the next around campfires and kitchen tables. Every legend we've explored reminds us that there are still mysteries left in this world. There are still places on the map that refuse to give up their secrets. And maybe that's exactly how it should be, because if every mystery were solved, and every treasure were found, and if every question had an answer, there would be no adventure left. So, wherever you're listening from tonight, whether you're sitting at home, driving down a lonely highway, or staring out into the darkness beyond the glow of a campfire, thank you. Thank you for spending this season with me, and thank you for believing, if only for a little while, that somewhere out there, hidden beneath the desert sun, or buried beneath a century of dust, a lost treasure may still be waiting. Season 1 may be ending, but the search is far from over. This is Man Cave Archives, and the past is never as far away as it seems, because out there, the truth is still waiting, hidden, untouched, and out there in the dark, some secrets don't stay buried. They just wait for the next person to come looking.